Hi everybody, I am Professor Daphna Hollander, clinical psychologist, and I will be your professor for this semester for Lifespan and Development, this book that we're going to be using. I'm out of town, I'm in Israel, so I'm missing the first lesson, but I will be back next week, so I apologize. I will go over the whole syllabus, I will go over all the expectations when I'm in class with you guys. I have to go over chapter 1, 4, and 5 with you. I'm going to keep it kind of short because, full honesty, I've recorded this video several times and it's gone too long every time that it's not letting me upload it. So I'm going to try to condense everything and keep it brief, and next week I'll tell you all about me. I want to know all about you guys. I will give you the expectations of what I expect from this class. In the meantime, you can find the syllabus on Canva. It's got my email, it's got all the information. Take a look at that, any questions that you guys have, and again, I'm going to go over all of that with you guys next week. The only thing I ask for the syllabus, I'll put it out there now, is to be flexible. Things might change, timeline might change, and then our homework assignments might change. After every chapter, which I have under the module, you will have an assignment that's usually due the day before class. Some of them are due on a Friday. Because of a chagim or something, there's no school. So let's just jump into it, and next week we'll have a chance to chat. So let's just really briefly, I'm going to go into chapter 1, which chapter 1 just talks about the history, the theory, and the research of development. So developmental science is basically a field that's developed for understanding the human consistency and the change throughout our lifespan. And it looks at the research of human development, both out of scientific curiosity and social pressures to improve people's lives. So that's where developmental science came from. The chapter talks about the scope of lifespan development. It talks about longevity studies, cross-sectional studies, different studies to help with the research. It talks about influences on development, the nature versus nurture, culture versus historical context, all of that. It goes into periods of development. There's a pretty good slide that I have up there that goes into that. It also goes into a little bit about the theories of development through psychoanalytic theory, which is Freud's it's Freud's stages. When you think of Freud, a lot of people think of id, ego, and superego. So it talks about that and how that affects our development. It talks about Erikson theory and behavioral theories and cognitive theories. Erikson theory was interested in how social interactions and relationship played a role in the development and growth of human beings. And if you look at the notes, it does a very good job at explaining the different psychosocial stages throughout the different stages of birth to 12. The first chapter also talks about behavioralism and social learning theories, the contributions to modeling, observational learning, limitations regarding narrow view of environment influences, underestimates the individual's active role. Those are some of the contributions and limitations for behavioral and social learning. Talks a lot about Piaget, which we're going to talk about him a little bit in the next chapter. He was a therapist who came up with cognitive developmental theory and his different stages, which we're going to talk about in the next chapter. Again, especially slide 16 has a very good chart about that. But he basically said that children actively construct knowledge by manipulating and exploring the world. And that we develop throughout these stages, from infancy to toddler, and so on and so on. Some recent theories is information processing. In the 70s and 80s. Cognitive psychologists were looking at to understand the development of thinking. So information processing came about. It suggests that children process information similar to computers. We're going to get into that in the next one as well. And it looks at the way that our biological makeup influences our behavior. Some other things that it studies is, as I mentioned earlier, some of the ways that it studies these things is by observation, natural observation, observing people, observing the kids in their natural environment, structured observation where you set up a laboratory to be able to look through a sliding door or look inside and observe to see the same conditions that they might see outside, but you want to see what's happening. Self-reporting from the parents' point of view, clinical case study, different studies throughout, and also methods for studying culture is collecting data often used in social behavioral science. And you can observe those through interviews, through talking to people, through drawing conclusions about certain societies in the past or now. And making correlations to what's going on and how they behave. So that's a little bit about chapter 1. That just talks about how we look at these studies and the different studies that are available, such as the longitude studies. Participants are studied repeatedly and changes roles as they get older. Cross-sectional groups of people of different ages are studied at the same point in time. So the first chapter just talks about the different studies that we can do to help with the behavioral science. So I'm going to turn this off, guys, but I'm going to start another video, so hopefully it doesn't get deleted.